Welcome to Empowering Motherless Daughters, where we help women to change, grow, and heal. My name is Zainab and I am your host. Thank you for joining me. Today I have with me Abigail. She is from Forgiving Gifts.
Yes, Forgiving
Well,
Gifts.
she's the business owner, everything of Forgiving Gifts. If you haven't checked out that website, I really want you to check it out. There's so much that you can learn if you're someone that is in need of pain. I think you have a service, because I think when I went on the website, you can like kind of order or something.
Right.
Yeah, you can order her services. So make sure to check out her website. It's called www.forgivinggifts.com, right?
That's correct.
And it is a safe website, just so you know, so you can put your credit card on there.
Right. That's right.
All right, guys. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about forgiveness. Now, as you all may know, I have forgive. So I told myself many times, but it's not that easy. So Abigail is going to talk to us about that. But first, introduce yourself. Tell us all about you, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate that. This is an awesome opportunity. My name is Abigail McNeil. I am a registered nurse, and then also I am a business owner, and it's called Forgiving Gifts. The purpose of that was, forgiveness is a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift from God. So I started it as I thought about like things I could do to be able to reach people, and having issues with forgiveness. I have issues of my own with forgiveness, and so I was going through a tough time in life, and then it took me probably about 6-7 years to get to that point of healing.
See, takes a long time.
It takes a long time.
Don't let people pressure you now.
That's right. It takes a long time, and everybody don't arrive at the same time. So. And so then I originally it started off as a ministry in my church. And what we do is we go around, we do presentations on forgiveness and show the relationship between unforgiveness and illness. So we break down like different illnesses like depression, anxiety, opiate addiction, food addictions, and then kind of look at them as, like ineffective coping mechanisms when people can't get ahead in life. So it started there, and then I said, well, wouldn't it be nice if I just started a business that give people reminders as they're going through the healing process. So I have T-shirts, mugs, candles, keychains with slogans on them regarding forgiveness, so that you can stay on the right path to healing.
Okay. So did you hear that? Forgiveness is a journey. Please stop allowing people to pressure you. I cannot stand that. It annoys me when people say, just forgive. And I thought it was so easy. And I'm like, I've forgiven. I have forgiven. And then when I see the person, I'm so angry.
Right.
I'm so mad. I don't have good thoughts for them. That is not forgiveness. Not because you verbalize it means that it has happened.
Right.
Forgiveness starts from within. Before you even get to verbalize it, you start thinking good thoughts of people.
Right.
So you said this comes from a personal space.
Right.
Where, what happened? Who did you have to forgive and why?
I went through a pretty bad divorce.
That would do it.
So it wasn't so much about what happened. It was more so about how I responded to it. And that's what we have to realize. We have to recognize what is our response to the situation. And so then I was going through and just really having a hard time getting, ahead. But forgiveness was something I wanted to do from the very beginning. From the very start, I said I knew I had to forgive. And the reason why I knew that is because from a young girl, I was 15 years old, my mom died of cancer. When I look back on it now, and I think about what she had gone through, I remember one day I asked her at that young age, who was my father? And she instantly became angry that I asked the question. And so now that I think about that, I think about all the pain that she carried inside and not let it go. And she carried it to her grave. So I knew for me, I had to forgive from day one. And even though I decided that I needed to forgive from day one, it still took a long time. And the reason I think it took a long time is because I didn't have the right steps. I didn't know how to begin the process of forgiveness. So it wasn't until one day I decided, you know what, I can't take this anymore.
You just get tired.
I get tired. And I was like, I can't take these thoughts anymore on my mind, the first thing in the morning, last thing at night. So I remember one day I cried out, you know, to the Lord. I know everybody don't have the same beliefs, but I'm a Christian and I have those beliefs.
Sweet Jesus.
Yes. So I cried out to him. I said, I can't take this anymore. You have to fix this. You have got to move this, because otherwise it's just, you know, it's like holding me back. And he did. And so when I did that is when he decided to, you know what, it was like a light bulb. This is what I want you to do. I want you to put a program together, and I want you to show the relationship between unforgiveness and illness. And I want you to, not only is it going to be for you, it's going to help someone else. So it was then at that point that I knew what my purpose was.
Really?
Yes.
So you had an aha moment.
I had an aha moment. And throughout this whole process, I've had an aha moment, because it went from putting that program together until I wrote a play for the children of the church, because he said, I want the children to be a part of it, because they need to start to learn from an early age. Put a play together. I don't write plays. I've never written a play until then. And so, and even with the play, he said, I said, okay, Lord, I want to have a song or something to go along with it. I want music so that it can all tie in together and it'll be a full program. And so I went looking, trying to find, you know, something that would match what I needed to do and what I was trying to get out there, and I couldn't find anything. So then the Holy Spirit said, write it. I don't write songs. Yes. He said, write it. So I remember one night I was on my bed. It was probably maybe 1 o'clock, 12 midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there, and it was just like, he said, okay, it's time to write. And so I took out a pen, piece of paper, and I barely had any light on in my room, you know, and I just started writing. And I was rhyming and everything, and I'm like, and see, I'm the type of person that don't know music. I am like clueless when it comes to music, and he told me to write the song, and I did. So the song is up on YouTube, it's up on iTunes, it's up on Amazon. It is.
I have to go listen to that.
Yes, it's a beautiful
For a
song.
researcher, I am.
So it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And so I just knew then that this was my purpose, because he gave me a whole entire program. So now I'm on the second play, and we're working on that. And I'm just, you know, this has just been such a blessing to be in the position. And I'm just so honored that he chose me to do this. And it's really has been, you know, it really has been good. It's been really good.
That was so good.
Yes.
So I remember in 2016, I don't know if it was an aha moment. I don't know what it was. But I was just so no, not 2016, probably 2015, a year prior. When I went to church, and I was just like, God, I'm tired. And I remember going to the altar, you know how they call and all that.
Right.
You go for people to pray on you, blah, blah, blah. And I remember sitting there and feeling like something has changed.
Right. Okay.
I didn't know what it was. But after I went to the altar, I came back and I sat on my seat. I felt like my life was going to be different.
Wow.
From then on. Now,
right.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
How did it happen? Was not how I wanted it to happen. This is how the Lord gets us. He gives us this vision, and you think, yes, this is great. This is how it's going to be. But let me tell you how it happened.
Right.
And everything that transpired after that. I was like, that vision, I was mad. Because it was a lot, you know. I'm just giving you. But anyway, when you said that about like you kind of felt it and you had the aha moment, it took me back to that. Like I can relate, because I had something similar like that. You know, that happened 2015, I believe, 2015 or 2016, the beginning.
Okay.
But I remember I was like, oh, this is weird.
Right.
So now you said that you went through like a personal. You know, a divorce and all that kind of triggered you. So for you, what did unforgiveness look like?
Unforgiveness looked like, you know, just a complete burden. You're carrying around, just kind of feeling like you're not really enjoying life. Like you're stuck. You're moving ahead and you're thinking you're moving ahead, but it's just something that's holding you back. You know, from being your best self, from just, you know, making decisions, you know, adequate decisions to move forward in life. You know, just kind of feel like you're just like, I'm stuck. And where am I going? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? Why am I here?
Wow. So you just felt like you were stuck. Like
I
you
just
couldn't
felt
make
like I was
decisions.
just like, just felt like I was just stuck. And
were you angry? Were you mad? Were you
I don't think I was angry.
sad?
No, not really angry or mad. Maybe disappointed. You know, maybe embarrassed. You know,
that can create unforgiveness. Because that's where the ego gets in there.
Yes, exactly.
Once that ego takes over,
exactly,
unforgiveness just blooms, it just blows up. So it's a tough one.
It's a tough one, yes.
So when you started the journey, what did it look like for you?
When I started the journey of forgiveness?
Yes.
Oh, it just looked like forgiving gifts. That's what it looks like. It looked like freedom. It looks like peace. You know?
Oh.
It just looked like joy, happiness. It just like I can be in my own space and be happy. You know, sometimes we feel like we need somebody to come along and make us happy.
Listen to me. You don't need anyone to come along and make you happy. It is your responsibility.
That's right.
Now, you guys know me. I always say it. You are responsible for your own life.
Right.
Like you have the power to create the life that you want. Despite the traumas, despite the disappointments, despite whatever betrayals, whatever you may have gone through.
Right.
You are responsible for that. So don't let no one take that away from you.
That's right.
Continue.
So, it just, like I said, just gave me opportunity for like, okay, I can live. Now I know my purpose, you know? And it was just a great feeling. It really is.
You know, a word that just kind of, just kind of like stuck with me for a second is the freedom.
Right.
Because what people don't know is when you have unforgiveness in your heart, you're stuck. You get chained to that person like forever, like this. Right. You're with them forever, and you're like, but I don't want to be with them. Or they did this to me. I don't want to think about them. But you like, girl, like, come on, like you're chained to them. Right. When you have the key to release yourself from that. So you see, like freedom, unforgiveness has freedom. Now, what do you say to people that are like, well, everybody's talking about unforgiveness. I really don't feel like, it's worth it. It's going to be beneficial to me. And they're angry because they're like, this person did something so bad to me. They were so awful to me. Or they've committed a act of violence, a heinous crime or something. What do you say to those people?
I would say that, just understanding that forgiveness is for you. It's not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you.
Be selfish.
Yes, it's about you. When something happens, you're the one that suffers, feel that. So to allow them to continue to have control over you, even after the, offense occurred, it's allowing them to continue to have control, over your everyday, your ability to get out of bed in the morning, to be able to hold down a job, to be able to move forward and find your purpose. And you just have that continued bondage, So just remembering that it's not that what they did was right. It's not right. It's not saying that you have to rekindle the relationship. You don't have to do that. You know where you stand with that person. But forgiveness is so that you can let go, so for your release to move forward. Release.
Get yourself out that shackle.
That's
whatever
right.
the chains, just release yourself, okay? So, like for me and my motherless daughters, we're being forced by society to say, well, your mother is always going to be your mother. I hate that comment.
Mm-hmm.
Because don't you think I know that? Okay. However, that does not mean that I should subject myself to a toxic relationship. I have forgiven my mother. I actually have, because
Right.
I wish her well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think about her or get angry or get upset. But there are a lot of motherless daughters that I'll talk to on the phone, or I get an email or something like that, and they feel pressured by society
Mm-hmm.
to not just forgive, but to forgive, condone, accept, engage, interact with the abuser or the person that is not healthy for them.
Right.
What would you say to them?
I would say that again, it's not for it's not for the other person. The forgiveness is for you.
Okay.
So you don't feel like you have to condone or accept what's happened. I understand that your mother is your mother, or your father is your father, or whoever that is. But if you're finding yourself in a toxic environment, that's not beneficial to you. And sometimes you have to understand that people that hurt people are hurting themselves. And being able to, you may need to find yourself looking back into their history, and finding out what caused them to do this. Why are they this way? What were their traumatic experiences in their life that caused them to behave this way? And then once you kind of, spend time doing that and kind of looking at and recognizing what their pain was, is when you can kind of start to begin the healing process, because people can only give you what they have. If they don't have that title of being, they just have the title of being the mother or the father, and not necessarily the skills, of
A lot of mothers, but no
Right.
mommies.
exactly. And they don't have it. So then, it may take you to kind of look back, see what's going on with them. And then you can kind of, start the healing process for yourself. But you really have to get to whatever it is that's going to help you heal. That's the goal.
I mean, that is true. Only for me, I had to look at myself first and sort out what I needed before I was able to even look at my mother's, like, how she grew up and all of that stuff. I definitely agree with what you're saying, but I can also understand if you are not ready to even look at your mother's situation.
Right. Exactly.
Not because someone grew up a certain way means that it's okay.
Right.
I didn't grow up with a mom. I didn't have all the tools and all the stuff that I needed. However, as an adult, I made it my responsibility to be different because I didn't like how it felt. I didn't want to inflict the same abuse and neglect and rejection that I endure onto my child.
Right.
So, if you are not ready to look at your mother's childhood or her, how she grew up, all that craziness, you don't really have to. But it's also another part of your journey, is what Abigail is saying.
Right.
It's also something for you to kind of get a better understanding. For me, it kind of made sense. And it also kind of made me say, this is a generational thing.
Right.
It happened A, B, it happened A, then B, then C. It's like trickling down.
Right.
And so I guess it gave me a little bit more energy. And the awareness kind of made me feel like, it has to stop here now.
Right.
So it's just something for you to think about.
Somebody has to break the curse.
Like,
Someone has to break the curse.
and it's not a job that is easy.
Right.
I did not like it.
Right.
So I was like, why me?
Right.
I just want to be okay. I just want to do my own thing. It's a responsibility.
Right.
I didn't like it first. I'm just saying.
I get it.
All right, guys, we're going to take a short break and we will be back. Stay tuned.
One of the things and going through this process is being able to recognize yourself. You have to see yourself, and be able to really become empathetic, for someone else.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just so important, and that's really hard to do. But, you know, you do have to go through that journey in order to heal.
We are back with Abigail, and we are talking about forgiveness. Now, I know you guys saw this video on, it was like, it went viral. The police officer that shot the black guy in some western state. And then the brother, when they were sentencing the cop, the brother told her that he forgave her. And I watched that video and I said, oof. My first thought, and I know you had it too, was how? How could how could he just just forgives her like that? This is someone that took a life, like a whole life. And I saw the video and I was like, I don't know, for some reason I'm just like, is he in his right mind? That was what I was thinking. Like, does he even know what he's doing? Does he even know what this whole forgiveness thing is all about? How can he forgive so quickly? Can people do that?
Yes. I watched that too. And when I watched it, I didn't watch a whole lot of the trial and all that stuff.
No.
So, but what went viral was what you're talking about with him.
He gave her a hug.
He gave her a hug.
I would have been like this. No.
He gave her a hug, and then some people, you know, felt like you did. You know, were just
I
like,
didn't understand it.
Like, how could he forgive her? What is that all about? I don't even know if all of his family were on the same page as he was when he did that, and they did not know that he was going to do that.
Yeah, I think that was like just a...
Right, exactly. And so when I saw it, and he said, can I just give her a hug? And so he gave her a hug, and I immediately started to cry. I really did. And I was just like, wow, that was amazing. But you know what? The reason why is because what I thought about was what a release that must have been for him. Think about that. The release of not being bound to the pain, the hurt, the disappointment of what happened. The release of being able to get out of the bed in the morning, the release of being able to function, to be able to hold down your job, to be able to continue to try to move forward in life. You know, if we think about it that way, what about, not about so much what she did, because we can't take it back, we can't change it, but what about what the release was like for him to be able to have that weight lifted from him. Because you know, when people hold on to things, they put themselves at high risk of illness, of depression, heart cancer, you know, depression, not being able to move forward, and just really carrying that weight around for, you know, for the rest of his life, you know. But if you think about what that must have did for him, not her, forget about what happened in that situation. Think about him, and knowing that, you know what, I can live my life, knowing that I can't go back. She's going to deal with her own issues when it comes to that. And then me carrying around that hurt and anger, how's that going to affect her? It's only going to affect me. It's
Can he forgive her from a distance? Why did he have to hug her? Because
he wanted her to know. You know, he wanted her to know. And maybe he wanted her to know for her own healing, so that she can begin to forgive herself. Then you imagine what it's like if she, you know, the unforgiveness that she's going through.
Is she?
I think so.
Oh, you're so
sweet. Who would want to be there?
Don't kill people.
I didn't understand that. But who would want to be in that position of where she is right now? Like, you know, that would make you think twice right there. Like, I don't want to be here.
She probably thought she could get away with it.
No.
And it happened to be that she ended up in jail.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the whole thing of the trial. I just felt like for that moment, he released himself from that bondage.
He took back his power.
Yes. Because otherwise she would continue to have control over his every day. His every day.
Man, I guess I just didn't understand the hugging situation. I just like, you know.
And that was, you know, and that was his way of doing it. You know, where someone else may say, you know what, I forgive her, and she may never know.
He's such a kind soul.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to be like that.
And even like the judge, I think, gave her a hug too, you know. Yeah.
Why?
I guess because that was their way of just, you know,
I didn't even see that part.
releasing themselves from
What
the
is
situation.
the judge releasing himself from?
That was her, but
What is she releasing herself from?
I guess she just wanted to kind of just spread love, just let her know that, she's not hated.
I am not fully there, just so you know, as you can tell. But
It's a process.
It's a process.
It's a process, and everybody don't arrive at the same time. Whereas he arrived at that moment, and his family will probably take years, if ever.
He was in New York while his family is still in Alabama, trying to catch the flight of forgiveness to get to New York. He was way ahead of them.
He was way ahead of them.
I was like, and he's so young.
He is.
Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, that was his answer, and I have to forgive in order to be forgiven. Because we all have things we.
So I had to start with forgiving myself first.
Right.
And that was so hard because I had to look at myself in the mirror. When you think you're perfect, you think, I got this down right.
Yes.
I am good. And then you have to go look at yourself in the mirror.
Oh, yes.
It's awful.
It's a hard thing to do. Very hard.
It's very, very hard to look at yourself in the mirror. So, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I started realizing I have a lot of flaws. I have a lot of things that I could change about myself. My character, some of my characters. I had anger issues before. Let's see. I didn't know how to love myself. I was very angry at my molesters. I was angry at my mother. Of course, just if someone did something to me, just the slightest thing, the smallest thing, I would take it so personally. I will hold it on like it's treasure. And then that will build up to something else, build up to something else, build up to something else. The next thing you know, I'm blowing off on the wrong person. That is all unforgiveness. But my behavior towards other people was because I did not forgive myself. I was angry at myself. Because who you are and how you feel about yourself is what trickles out to other people.
Right.
So the way I was I felt very disgusted with myself. And so my behaviors were like that. Just disgust. And when I had to forgive myself, peel the layers, open it up like an onion. And I started realizing I've made a lot of bad mistakes. A lot of horrible mistakes. And I had to forgive myself for those things. Tell myself I didn't know. Of course, I went through therapy. I went through counseling. I believe in counseling. I believe in Jesus. But I know Jesus says he provided counseling for a reason. So I go there. I didn't sit on my own. You do what works for you. If you have a church that provides good counseling, do that. That's where I started.
Right.
In church. So, I had to do that. I had to forgive myself. And it was just it was an awful feeling initially. I hated it. All of it. I didn't like it. But afterwards, I started learning about me. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, I like this. I like to do this. I like to be here. I like to be this. And from that, I started to radiate love, radiate kindness, radiate forgiveness, because I was able to forgive myself first. So, what do you think?
And that's really hard. I totally agree with that. The one thing is, while I was going through my journey, the Lord was really trying to show me myself. And that's a hard thing to do, So it's like walking past the mirror, like, oh, I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it. Yeah.
No, I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it. Yes.
You know?
You don't want to see yourself in the mirror. You're like,
something.
no.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like, I'm perfect. You know?
Yes.
I did X, Y, and Z. I did everything right.
Yes.
You know? And then, so then it's, you know, like, no. And he would bring me little reminders. Remember when this happened?
Yes.
How did you respond to this? And so I really,
Yes.
one of the things, and going through this process is being able to recognize yourself. You have to see yourself, you know, and be able to really become empathetic, you know, for someone else.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just so important, and that's really hard to do. But you know, you do have to go through that journey in order to heal. You gotta at least before you forgive somebody else, you gotta really be able to see yourself and forgive yourself.
See yourself. Own yourself. Accept yourself with
That's right.
all the craziness, the imperfection, the flaws, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Just be okay with that. And once you're okay with you be so empathetic towards other people.
That's right.
I should say you be so loving towards other
Right.
people.
Because you too have, you know,
Mhm.
want forgiveness. You know, like, for instance, you may not have been the offender in this situation, but you were in another situation. So you know what it feels like to really want somebody to forgive you. You know, and so then you can be empathetic and like, okay, well, I remember when I did, and I really needed
Right.
somebody to forgive me. So
Yes.
I need to open up and be willing, you know,
Yes.
to understand that sometimes people are remorseful. Sometimes the apology comes and we're not ready to accept it because we think they haven't suffered long enough.
You know, it's true.
So we want to hold them into it
Yes.
even longer, you know. But
Mhm.
we're only
I've
holding
done that.
ourselves. We're only holding ourselves.
It
in
is
there.
true.
Right.
It is true because I'm waiting for you to suffer. I'm waiting for you to go through
Right.
exactly what I went through and even more.
Exactly.
But really, it doesn't.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. A friend of mine called me yesterday, and she's like, "Can you believe such and such got fired after how evil she was to me, blah, blah, blah." You know.
Uh-huh.
And for her, it was like a validation, and I was just trying to be a friend and listen to the whole conversation.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, what good does that do for you?
Right.
Like, even though she's fired now, like 2 years later,
Right.
after the whole incident happened, like,
Mhm.
even her being fired doesn't change the situation.
Right.
The
Of what
situation
happened.
still happened.
Exactly.
So, like, you just gotta, like, I mean, I was just trying to tell her, I said, listen, this is just a validation of how amazing God is. This is how I see it.
Mhm.
Only because you were hurt so deeply, you were done wrong, and you were expecting for it to be handled at that time,
Right.
for the revenge to come at that time.
Right.
But the Lord said, just wait.
Mhm.
Just wait. Because
right.
at that time, all she would have gotten was a discipline.
Right.
But guess what?
Mhm.
2 years later, the Lord addressed it in a way, even she that was in it didn't even expect it to happen.
Right. You know, the Lord says, you know, vengeance is mine, you know?
Yeah, it
and His
is.
timing and our timing are not the same.
That's
you
what I
know?
was trying to tell her yesterday.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, she doesn't believe in God, so she says or something, you know, whatever. Listen, I don't push religion on anyone.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I was just trying to tell her, like, to me, just hearing that story, it's not even about what happened to her. It's just a confirmation, like, vengeance is the Lord for real.
Right. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day,
Right.
you can never do it as good as God.
And we're sitting back sometime waiting
Mm-hmm.
for it to happen.
That waiting
you
is
know,
awful.
we're sitting and
She's
we're
sitting like
looking
this.
like, oh, how did they get a new car? They did X, Y, and Z.
Yes!
How they get a new house? They did this. I mean, you're waiting. You'll be waiting, you know, all your life waiting for somebody to get,
And it could never...
you know, and you know, it may never happen. Or you may not actually
You see it. Yeah.
You may not actually
You may
see
not
it.
see it. That's
Right.
it.
That's
So
right.
instead of you, like, staying focused on that, like, just live your life.
Right. Focus on you. Focus on
Focus
yourself.
on you. A lot of times, the people that have hurt us, they don't remember. I call it selective amnesia. They don't remember somehow what they have done. And you know, the truth of the matter is it happens to us too. Because I've done some things that people tell me, I'm like, what?
Right.
So I cannot put my life on hold for someone that doesn't even remember me. Now, some people, they remember, they're just lying. But at the end of the day, no matter what I do in my mind to kind of hurt the other person, it's not going to touch them.
Right.
So even if when someone doesn't say they're sorry,
That's right.
they're not remorseful,
Right.
you still got to show them love. You still got to show them compassion, empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can start doing that from afar. You don't have to be in a relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it from afar. And that can be done by honoring yourself and learning how to forgive.
That's right.
Please do not sit in that toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Trust me. I know what pain feels like. Sometimes the heart pain, you're in so much pain, like it physically hurts, it physically cripples you, it puts you in a handicap chair, and sometimes you can't get out of bed because you're so mad, you're so angry,
Right.
because they did not do you right.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's your mom for me, that's what happened, or it's a boyfriend, it's a husband, it's a family friend. You have to release yourself. I'm not telling you how to forgive. I'm not telling you that you have to. I'm giving you options
Right.
so you know how powerful you can be.
Mm-hmm.
You want to gain access to power? Honey, start with forgiveness. Forgiving yourself. You become so powerful because you're in control of your own life.
That's right. You take back that control.
That's it.
And I have a story I just want to share with you real quick. And it's about like how important forgiveness is and how much of your life are you going to give to someone else. So
Tell me. Sit back.
several months ago, I met a lady, and she was actually I'm writing a book too. So this story
I know
is in
you're
that
doing
book.
that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I met a lady, and she was in her 80s. So I get to her house. And everything is just perfect. I mean, everything was neat and in its place and organized.
That's what I like.
Yes,
Clean,
and she
neat.
was clean and she smelled good, And I was like, wow, this is really nice. So we sat down and began to talk. And she started to express to me how depressed and how paranoid and getting out of the bed in the morning was just the hardest thing for her to do. And she would frequently go back to bed during the day because she just could not take it. So I started to kind of peel back the onion, and I wanted to know, how did you get here? So first she said, I've always been this way. And she's 80, and I said, no.
Your whole life?
You hadn't always been this way. How did you get here? And she said, well, maybe it has something to do with my husband left me with 3 young kids to raise on my own, and he went and started a whole new family. Again, she's 80. So her kids now have got to be,
Like what, 50?
60 years old?
She's been in prison for that long?
She's been in prison for that long. And I said to her, have you forgiven him? So and her eyes got this big, and she just looked at me and she says, I don't know. And so oh my goodness, as forgiveness is for you. And she felt at that moment, I could just tell she felt this release because she just was just in awe that I would ask her that. And then I'm sure she's heard it before in all this time, but for some reason she's held on to that. And she said from there she ended up in abusive relationships because her self-esteem was low, and she ended up in relationships where the guys were abusing her because of that first relationship.
Because her thought process is all blurry.
She's all blurry.
Yeah, it's all blurry.
Not making good choices.
Exactly.
Not making good choices. And so that's the one thing we have to be mindful too of, making good choices. What are we doing to ourselves by not forgiving? What are we doing to ourselves? How are we just, making bad choices when it comes to our diet and the things that we eat?
Yo. you choose the wrong food because you're trying to feel that.
Yeah. And so how many times we watching a movie or something like that, and then somebody's going through a breakup and they go get a tub of ice cream and they're sitting there eating ice cream. So,
mac and cheese for me.
Right, because you know what? that stuff it increases, that feel good mechanism, the dopamine, and serotonin in the brain.
Okay.
So take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself. So listen, we will be right back.
Right there, 50 years of allowing somebody to continue to have control over your life, your ability to function, your, mentally, physically, putting you at high risk for disease and things like that.
The most they just, you don't even see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
The anger, and you're like, Grandma, why are you so angry?
Right.
Why are you so upset? It's not that serious.
Right.
But I think it's residue, from the pain that she experienced with my grandfather.
Mm-hmm. What's causing you the pain? What happened, what traumatic event occurred in your life that caused you to be where you are? Mm-hmm. And then be honest with how it makes you feel, Sometimes we're sad, we're depressed, we're hurt, and we say, what? I'm fine. Forgiveness, how much that would do for you in your life and your everyday, your relationships with others.
Yes.
Your ability to work, your goals in life, be able to reach your goals. And because now you can think